Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. In this juz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about a lot of prophets. But the prophet that Allah speaks about in the most detail, that's only in this juz, is Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam was the son of Dawood alayhi salam, who was a king. So he was a prince, and then Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam became a king himself. And out of the prophets, Sulaiman alayhi salam was like a superhero, because he was the prophet that could fly. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him control over the animals. He could talk to animals, over the jinnat. So he was a mixture of your Doctor Strange, and he was a mixture of, what is this, who can talk to animals from superheroes? Aquaman can only talk to fish. If a cow comes in front of him, Bijala can't talk to it. What was that one, DC Legends of Tomorrow?
I know it's a Disney princess.
Who?
It's a Disney princess who can, I don't know.
What's the Disney princess name?
I don't know.
You seem like you knew. Snow White, no, she talks to just dwarfs. Pocahontas talks to animals? No.
No, it's the one with the blonde hair.
Dr. Doolittle.
But that's not a superhero.
No.
That's definitely.
I mean, yeah.
In DC Legends of Tomorrow, there's that one from...
We're Marvel fans. What do you want to say?
Wait, I know what I am about. It's
The necklace.
yeah, she has that like Asian lip.
No.
I don't remember her name.
I think it's Elsa.
Oh my
Elsa,
god.
you can say.
No. Anyway, it's a culmination of all of them. He could fly, he could talk to animals, and he could control jinns as well. So he was a mixture of all of them. Allah had given him that ability. رَبِّ هَبْ لِي مُلْكًا لَا يَنْبَغِي لِأَحَدٍ مِّن بَعْدِي إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْوَهَّابُ. May Allah give me such a dominion and kingdom that nobody else has like that after me. And that is why after Sulaiman alayhi salam, no one has or will rule the world. Sulaiman alayhi salam's strength. And the second thing is that the control of the wind and control of the jinn. They say he had a ring. And in his ring, you know, Dr. Strange had his little necklace. We got all of this stuff from the stories of the prophets. Sulaiman alayhi salam had a ring, and that ring could control the jinnat. So there's some stories that Allah mentions inside here, and here I'll just mention one or two of those stories. The first is that Sulaiman alayhi salam, when he used to travel again, like I mentioned, in the air, and his entire army of men, animals, and jinnat used to be flying with him. So you look up and this is Air Sulaiman, right? Sulaiman Airways. And when he would fly, the whole sky would get covered. So one man was sitting and he saw this and he was just blown away. And he said, Subhanallah. And immediately Sulaiman alayhi salam landed. Sulaiman alayhi salam said, you said something. Now imagine if the whole king with his whole army lands and you're just a villager and he comes to you and he says, what did you say? So he began shaking. He said, I didn't say anything. I'm a loyal follower. I'm a loyal subject. No, what did you say? No, Sulaiman, I didn't say anything. Tell me what you said. He said, I just said Subhanallah. He said that one Subhanallah is greater than all of Sulaiman's kingdom. Because our kingdoms and our dunya comes to an end. But remembering Allah never comes to an end. You can remember someone and they'll forget you after. कभी हम में तुम में भी चाहती, कभी हम में तुम में भी राहती, कभी हम में तुम में भी चाहती, कभी हम में तुम में भी राहती, कभी हम में तुम में भी थी आशना, तुम्हें याद हो कि न याद हो. The poet says, there was a time when between you and me there was some love. And कभी तुम हम में तुम में भी राहती. Sometimes we used to visit all the time each other. कभी हम में तुम में भी थी आशना. There was a certain friendship and a certain fire between us. Tumhe yaad ho ke na yaad ho. Whether you remember or not, I remember it. You know, friendship, they dwindle. Relationships, they disappear. But the relationship with Allah, when you remember Him, He never forgets you. You forget Him, He still remembers you. And you can't find a relationship more beautiful than that. That when He remembers you, when you remember Him, He remembers you. When you forget Him, He still remembers you. Just in this dunya, but if you forget Him, die in that state, اليوم تنزل ربي لما حشرتني أعمى. My Allah, why did you raise me blind? كذلك أتتك آياتنا فنسيتها وكذلك اليوم تنسى. Allah says, I gave you my signs, I gave you my Quran, I gave you my deen, and you forgot. So today you'll be forgotten. You won't be remembered any longer. So Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, as he would travel with his kingdom, there was a queen ant. قالت النملة. It's ajib is because Allah uses the feminine tense for the ant. And we all know is that the queen ant calls the shots. So does every other sister, but the queen ant specifically calls the shot. قالت النملة. And this is from the miracles of the Quran. She says, لَيَحْطِمَنَّكُمْ سُلَيْمَانَ. See, the way an ant's body is made, it's like it's glass. So it's like it shatters. The word يَحْطِمَنَّ means to shatter. She doesn't use the word crush. When we did research about this thing. لَيَحْطِمَنَّكُمْ. She says, Sulaiman may shatter you, and he may not realize it. So Sulaiman alayhi salam puts a pause on his army, goes to that ant, picks up the queen ant, and he says, do you know where you are? He said, I don't know, but I know that the palm of Sulaiman is my throne right now. He said, you said that I was going to crush you? Do you not know that in my kingdom no one gets oppressed and no one gets harmed? She responded, she said, I said, لا يشعرون, that you would do it by accident. I didn't say you were going to do it purposefully. I said he may accidentally crush you all. And this was a utopia, right? Even in the kingdom of Sulaiman alayhi salam, even an ant didn't get oppressed. One ant. Like, we don't even think about these things, right? Even a small ant. It comes about Imam Muhammad Shaybani rahmatullahi alayhi. So the Hanafi fiqh is actually not built on Imam Hanifa. It's built on the back of Imam Muhammad Shaybani, who was the student of Imam Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. And he only spent 4 years with Imam Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. Then he went and he studied with Imam Malik. Imam Muhammad Shaybani was extremely good looking. But Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, there's a whole story of him. When he first comes to class, Imam Abu Hanifa says, in my class only Hufad can sit. He said, okay. Next week he comes back. He said, I told you only Hufad can sit. Father said, my son memorized the Quran last week. So he was very good looking, he was young. And you know, there's fitna everywhere. These fitnas that we are facing today are not fitnas that are just of today. They've been on for centuries. He says, you are not allowed to sit in the front of the class. You have to sit in the back of the class. Because I don't want my gaze to fall on you. Because fitna, shaitan can whisper in anyone's ear. It may not be that you are inclined to it all the time, but shaitan can whisper something in your ear. And Imam Abu Hanifa, a man of his caliber, said, no, I want you to sit in the back. And it comes, Imam Muhammad would cover his face when he would walk outside. He would wear this COVID mask you guys have. Imam Muhammad was the first one to invent it. To walk, why? Because of his beauty. The Hanafi fiqh is built on his back. They call it Zahir al-Riwaya, and it's 6 books that he wrote, and the narrations he has from Imam Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. 6 books: Jami al-Saghir, Jami al-Kabir, Sir al-Saghir, Sir al-Kabir, Nawadir, and Ziyadat. These are the 6 books that the Hanafi fiqh is built on. Imam Muhammad Shaybani. After he passed away, the way he passed away was ajib too. When he would be studying, he'd be engrossed in his studies. You could put, instead of water, you could put olive oil in front of him and he would drink it thinking it was water. That's how engrossed he was. And the way he passed away was because, while he was studying a masala, someone had donated a big bag of dates. And you know when you're just munching on something, and he just kept on eating, and he passed away because of that. Anyway, after he passed away, someone said, you've done so much service to the deen. Student of Imam Abu Hanifa, student of Imam Malik, teacher of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. So this man was a legend. And they asked him, they said, how did Allah fare with you after you passed away? He said, Allah didn't look at anything that I did. One day I was writing, and they had this quill pens that you dip in ink. And a fly came and sat on the pen. He said, and I thought to myself that, let this ant drink to its full. And I stopped. And I let it drink. And then it flew, and then I continued. It was the compassion I showed one fly that Allah forgave my entire life. Because of that one moment of compassion that I showed. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala weighs deeds through its sincerity. Anyway, so Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, he's got this huge kingdom. And not only does he have this kingdom, he's got this way of ruling. Right? He knows where everyone is, what everyone is doing. He keeps check on everybody. And one day there is a bird missing. So he says, مَا لِي لَا أَرَى الْهُدْهُدْ أَمْ كَانَ مِنَ الْغَائِبِينَ. Why is it I can't see Hudhud? Where is he? Where is this bird? Is he missing? Is he absent? He said, either Hudhud comes to me with the proper excuse, or I'll make a butter chicken out of him. I'll make tikka out of him. So now, Hudhud, this bird, when he comes back, you know, like when you're in trouble, your parents are totally upset. You come home, you're like, dude, you're about to get it. Not with the right? You're gonna get whooped today. So when Hudhud comes in, everyone's like, yeah, dude, you're gonna get it. Today is your day. You're gonna get it. So Hudhud, as he appears before Sulaiman alayhi salam, he spreads his wings, head down, and comes in a humble form. So Sulaiman alayhi salam smiles and he says, where were you? He teaches us, when you come late or you mess up, then be humble, don't be arrogant. He says, where were you? He said, I saw a group of people in Yemen, in Sheba, and they were worshipping a god, a sun. They were not believing in Allah. I saw this. Can someone on their phone do the distance between Yemen, Sheba, and Palestine, and Jerusalem? See what the distance is between the two? My estimate is at least 1,000 miles.
Part of Yemen.
Sheba, S-H-E-B-A, or Saba, S-A-B-A. S-A-B-A.
Oh, let's find a local restaurant.
That's what happens when you have a purple phone card.
Yeah, what's it talking about?
Somebody, Saba, Sheba, in Yemen and Palestine. Or just type of Yemen to Palestine, how far it is.
It's not working. My phone's not working.
Yemen to Palestine, anybody? Like today?
It's at least 600 miles.
Have
More than
If it was
1,400.
1,400 miles. You check the exact location, it's Yemen to Palestine.
Yemen to Palestine.
Yemen to Palestine, 1,400 miles. So he travels 1,400 miles to Sheba, comes back 1,400 miles, this bird, 2,800 miles right now. He arrives and Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam says, okay, I want you to go back and take my letter. He doesn't say, Sulaiman says, come on, I just got back. You can't send another bird? Send one of your jinns. No, but when they did the khidmat of deen, they took it as an honor. They never took it as a burden. The moment you take any khidmat of deen as a burden, you lose the ajr and the barakah of it. And the moment you keep asking yourself, how am I worthy that Allah has given me this opportunity, then Allah will give you barakah of it. Because at the end of the day, the army of Allah is infinite. And He doesn't need any one of us to do anything. When Allah wants, He can even use a kafir to spread the deen. He can even use a non-Muslim. Fir'aun is the one who gathers everyone up. So anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam sends him with a letter. This was the shortest letter of history, one of the shortest letters of history. And all it said was, إِنَّهُ مِن سُلَيْمَانَ وَإِنَّهُ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. This letter is from Sulaiman, and it begins in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim appears in front of 113 out of 114 surahs. Surah Tawbah doesn't come before it. However, it comes once in the Quran. Therefore, there are 114 Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahims in the Quran. And then the verse is وَأَلَّا تَعْلُوا عَلَيَّ وَأْتُنِي مُسْلِمِينَ. The letter was just one line. وَأَلَّا تَعْلُوا عَلَيَّ. Don't try to fight me. وَأْتُنِي مُسْلِمِينَ. And come to me submissive. That's it. So the letter comes, and Bilqis is the queen, and she has 360 windows in her palace where the sun, wherever it is, there is straight sun reflection that is coming inside. She gets the letter and she says, what do you guys think we should do? And they said, if you want to fight, we'll fight. She said, no. When armies invade a town, then they turn the most dignified people into the most indignified people. They destroy the honor and will of every single person. She sends some gifts with Hudhud. She says, we'll come over there and we'll meet Sulaiman alayhi salam. So she sends gifts with him, and the gifts come in front of Sulaiman alayhi salam. What was that Quran that you had? What is this pocket Quran was going to? قالت يا أيها الملأ أفتوني في أمري ما كنت قاطعة أمرا حتى تشهدون. She says, tell me what your thoughts are. You see this letter from this man, he wants a fight, what should we do? They respond, قالوا نحن أولو قوة أولو بأس شديد. We have strength, we have might, we have power. والأمر إليك فانظري ماذا تأمرون. The decision is yours. You tell us, if it's a fight he wants, a fight he'll get. قالت إن الملوك إذا دخلوا قرية أفسدوها. When kings enter towns and villages, they raise it to the ground. وجعلوا أعزة أهلها أذلة. They take the ones with honor and they replace it with dishonor. وكذلك يفعلون. And this is exactly what will happen with us. وإني مرسلة إليهم بهدية. I'm going to send gifts to him. فناظرة بما يرجع المرسلون. I want to see what he returns with. Now again, she's trying to entice Sulaiman alayhi salam. You have a beautiful woman, a queen. She's trying to entice him. What would we do in that position? We sell our deen for something far less than that. Sulaiman alayhi salam couldn't get tempted by a queen's gifts. And we get tempted for something far less than this. فَلَمَّا جَاءَ سُلَيْمَانَ. When it comes in front of Sulaiman alayhi salam, قَالَ أَتُمِدُّونَنِي بِمَالٍ. Are you trying to entice me with wealth? فَمَا آتَانِيَ اللَّهُ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا آتَاكُمْ. What Allah has given me is better than what He has given you. Allah has given me a relationship with Himself. And that is priceless. To sell your relationship with Allah, there's nothing that is more priceless than the relationship you have with Allah. And to sell it, there's no price to it. بَلْ أَنَّكُمْ بِهَدِيَّتِكُمْ تَفْرَحُونَ. He says, you get happy with your own. And he said, إِرْجِعْ إِلَيْهِمْ فَلَنَأْتِيَنَّهُمْ بِجُنُودٍ. He says, go back to them and let them know that we will bring an army. لَا قِبَلَ لَهُمْ. There will be no beginning and no end to that army. وَلَنُخْرِجَنَّهُمْ مِنْهَا أَذِلَّةً وَهُمْ صَاغِرُونَ. And we will bring them disgraced out of their towns if they don't submit to us. قَالَ يَا أَيُّهَا الْمَلَأْ أَيُّكُمْ يَأْتِنِي بِعَرْشِهَا قَبْلَ أَنْ يَأْتُونِي مُسْلِمِينَ. Now she's coming with her delegation, and he turns to he's got a group of people, humans, jinns, everyone. He says, who can bring me her throne? She's coming to see him, right? They're in two different kingdoms. قَالَ عِفْرِيتٌ مِّنَ الْجِنِّ. Ifrit. He was a powerful jinn. Some say one of the most powerful jinns. He said, أَنَا آتِيكَ بِهِ قَبْلَ أَن تَقُومُ مِن مَقَامِكَ. He says, I'll bring it to you before you even stand up. I can bring it that quick. وَإِنِّي عَلِيهِ لَقُوِيٌّ أَمِينٌ. He said, I'm strong and I'm trustworthy. You can trust me. Now, the next verse is very powerful. The next verse says, so now if there's a jinn, how do you defeat a jinn? Allah gives the answer in the next verse. قال الذي عنده علم من الكتاب أنا آتيك به قبل أن يرتد إليك طرفك. Allah says, قال الذي عنده علم من الكتاب. The one who had knowledge of the kitab. This wasn't a jinn according to the Mufassirin. Some say he was a jinn, others say he wasn't a jinn. He was an alim, he was a scholar. And either he knew Ismul A'zam. Ismul A'zam is the one name of Allah that if you ask Allah with that name, that Allah will grant you anything you ask it the way you ask it. Some say that name is Al-Hayy, some say it's Al-Qayyum, some say Ahad, some say Samad, some say Hannan, some say Mannan. Prophet ﷺ in one narration said if you were to do dua to Allah that turns rivers into gold, they would turn into gold. And Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi says the name itself is Allah, but it depends on the one who actually says it. Isa alayhi salam could go to the dead and say, Qum bi-idhnillah, stand with the will of Allah, and the dead would come to life. If your mother comes to you and says, Qum bi-idhnillah, it's Sahari time, you won't even get up. So it depends on the one who has the ta'alluq with Allah. Some say Badir, Samir. In my experience with Ism al-A'zam, it is that if you use Ism al-A'zam, it will always cost a price. And the price will be heavier than the thing that you got. And it should not be used incorrectly. There was a person by the name of Bal'am bin Ba'ura, and he knew Ism al-A'zam. And they told him do dua against Musa alayhi salam and Banu Israel. And Bal'am bin Ba'ura was like, no, I can't. And they said, no, you're our people, you're from you have to. And they guilted him. And when he began doing badua against Musa alayhi salam, his tongue twisted. And he ended up doing badua against his own people. So if you ever come across Ism al-A'zam, it isn't something to be used in just a manner of just being used. And it should never be used selfishly. Selfishly. It should never be used in that manner because it always has a price that's more expensive to pay. Anyway, then Bilqis comes and the story is long. Inshallah, one day when we do a seminar on Sulaiman alayhi salam, we'll go over the rest of the story. Assalamu alaikum.